Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss with one of the important topic how to create a virtual machine. This is the lab provided by Google Cloud environment. We are using the sandbox environment provided by Google Cloud. Here I will demonstrate how to create a virtual machine. Okay, and before creating a virtual machine, I will tell you what do you mean by virtual machine. It is a replica of your physical machine. This is a best example for infrastructure as a service. There are so many services offered by cloud. One is software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Software as a service, that is the best example, Gmail. Someone developed the application, just you are using that particular application. And platform as a service, that is platform is already ready, built, only developers they are concentrating on developing the code. And one more is what, infrastructure as a service. Here the infrastructure as a service, you are going to start building the resources, means you're going to use the hardware resources and software resources, then you're going to create a virtual machine. Okay, here this virtual machine is an best example for infrastructure as a service. Now I'm going to start the lab. Once the lab is started, here temporary username and password they are going to provide. We are going to use the sandbox environment provided by the Google Cloud. Now I'm going to logging into the Google Cloud console environment. This is what Google Cloud console. Just I am going to click understand. Okay, whatever the environment you're going to see, this is what Google Cloud console. Here I am going to demonstrate how to create a virtual machine. Now here there are several instructions are there. This is what temporary username and password. Now I log in with this username as well as password. This is the cloud console you are going to see. Now I am going to creating a virtual machine. This is the navigation menu. Go to this compute engine, then virtual machines, and whatever the instructions they provided, we need to use these instructions only. Otherwise since this is a sandbox environment, they are going to block our account. That's why first we need to follow the instructions carefully. One is what, how to create a new instance by using what, Google Cloud console. First you go to the navigation menu, compute engine, then VM instance. Now here we need to give the name for my virtual machine. I am giving that as GC lab. And second one is what, region. I am selecting as what, US East 1, where actually physical resources are located in that US East 1 region. We need to opt the resources, we need to take back the resources from that particular region. And zone, this region is categorized into several zones, actually where physical resources are located. From there where we are going to choose the resources from this particular zone. US East 1, under US East 1 there are several zones are there, US East 1A, US East 1B, US East 1C, like that. And series I am selecting the machine type. Machine type is what, E2 series. For standard application we are going to opt for this E2 series. For gaming series and all those things we can select FEEP series and as well as M series. Now I am choosing the machine type, that is what, E2 medium. For example, E2 medium, here you're going to see this, it consumes 2 virtual CPUs as well as 4 GB of RAM only for my application. Okay, here I am running the small application, that's why this 2 CPU is enough and 4 GB RAM is enough. Now I am going to what, use these feeds in my virtual machines. Okay, so that now I will go to this compute engine, then virtual machines. Yes. Now I am clicking on create instance. Now instance I am creating. Okay, so I am filling the name as, because here they given GC lab. Just copy and paste it there. Okay, GC lab. And the region what I am selecting, this is US East 1, South Carolina. Now I am selecting the zone, okay, because you to choose the zone whatever they given. Here they given zone as US East 1B. I need to select this zone US East 1B. Copy and here I am pasting. Okay, so name I selected GC Lab and the region US East 1 and the zone as US East 1B. Now I am selecting the series. As you can see, because I am running the standard application, okay, it's a low cost day-to-day computing, so I am selecting E2 series. Suppose if you wanted to perform higher computing and all those things, you can select the C4 series as well as N series and all for gaming applications. Now for my application, okay, it is just hello world. That's why I am selecting the E2 series. And obviously previously I explained about the E2 medium because it consumes 2 virtual CPUs as well as 4 GB RAM. Here 4 GB of RAM because E2 medium it occupies 2 virtual CPUs, 1 core, 4 GB memory. And if you wanted to create a virtual machine, operating system is required. Yes, operating system is required on each and every virtual machine. I am going to select the guest operating system. Okay, here I am selecting the operating system as Linux operating system and 10 GB of persistent disk storage it is attached for this operating system. That's why 10 GB size and the image I am selecting, that is Linux. After this, already I am not changing any operating system, default it is Linux. Then go to the networking. Here my virtual machine is to be accessible to the outside world. So what I am doing, I am enabling the HTTP traffic. This is what very important. Here if I allow HTTP traffic checkbox, then I can access my virtual machine from outside world. So I am using this allow HTTP traffic. Then now what I am doing, because already you know the allow HTTP traffic, it runs on the port number 80. Okay, please remember this one. Now you're going to create, this is what everything. First thing is what? First you to configure the machine resources, whatever the resources you require, how much GB RAM you require, how many CPUs you require. Then basic thing is what you're going to choose the operating system. Then I am allowing the HTTP traffic. Then now I am creating a virtual machine. It will take some time. After this, the virtual machine is created. Okay, the virtual machine name is GC Lab and I selected the region zone as US East 1B. Since I am using the Linux instance, this is what Linux instance I created. If I wanted to access the Linux instance from outside remotely, now that's why secure shell is required. So secure SSH, I can connect the Linux instance through secure shell. Suppose if I wanted to connect instead of this Linux instance, if I connected to if I want to connect to with Windows instance, then I can use the RDP protocol. Now since this is a Linux instance, I am going to use this SSH. Now for this SSH, what I am doing, the second task is, because see here the score is updated 10 out of 100 here, because I created the virtual machine. Now what I am doing, I am installing an Nginx web server on top of this virtual machine. So sudo apt-get update, I am going to run. So I need to authorize the secure shell first, establishing connection to the SSH server, that is for Linux instance. Yes. Now I am going to execute the command with, it's going to update with all the packages. Sudo apt-get update. Now the package, everything it is updated. That is, after this, what I am doing, next command is I am installing the Nginx web server on top of this virtual machine. So for installing the Nginx web server, you are going to use the command sudo apt-get install -y Nginx. That's why what I am doing now. Okay. enter. Now Nginx is installed on top of my virtual machine. After this, what I'm going to do, I need to check whether Nginx is installed or not. How to check? So I'm going to use the command process status. PS refers to process status. AUWX, we're going to display all the user details on wide screen piped with grep. I'm going to check because I need to use the search. That's why I'm using grep. Grep space Nginx. Now I'm going to check whether Nginx is installed or not. Now you can see yes, as you can see here, Nginx is installed. It is displaying. Now first here till now I created a virtual machine using Google Cloud Console. Second thing, I used Nginx web server on top of my virtual machine. After this, what I am going to do, you can see here, I can check my status. There is 50 out of 100 I got. Now next, I am going to create a new instance with gcloud. This is just a command line tool, how to create a virtual machine using a command line. Till now, I discussed how to create a virtual machine using a Google Cloud Console. That is different and this is different. Now, here I am going to use the gcloud console. Here I am activating the Cloud Shell first. Okay, Cloud Shell, I will tell you, this is what 10 GB of persistent disk storage. It is activated, means it is allotted whenever you are going to use this Cloud Shell. This is similarly how you are executing the commands in your Linux environment. Everything I am going to use the command, even for creating a virtual machine, even if I wanted to interact with any Google Cloud services, I am interacting with these commands. Okay, this is another way how to create a virtual machine. Okay, now see here, gcloud compute, because if you are interacting with any Google Cloud services, you must use the command gcloud. Then here I am creating an instance, gcloud compute instances created, and GC lab 2, this is the name of the virtual machine, GC lab 2. Machine type I am selecting E2 medium, and already zone for this environment variable, it is assigned US East 1B. Now I am creating the virtual machine. Okay, here the zone is replaced with, firstly I need to set with the zone, that is US East 1B. Okay, before this, okay, I am going to run this because I need to set the region as well as zone first. That's why I am going to select this before creating a virtual machine. Now, yes, gcloud config set compute region. Okay, region I am setting as US East 1. I am going to run this as, yes, that region is updated. Again, one more thing, I need to export the region to the environment variable, region US East 1 and zone as US East 1B. So now copy and paste it here. As US East 1, I assign to the environment variable region. Then again one more thing is what? Zone. Copied. Again you can paste. Yes. I export it to the environment variable. Now you create a virtual machine. Okay, that is third task. I'm creating a virtual machine using this command. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to check whether the virtual machine is able to create. Okay, it will take some time for creating a virtual machine, and already I said this virtual machine, whatever I am creating, this is one of the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, this is the best example for creating a virtual machine. It will take some time for creating a virtual machine as it's created. Now see, virtual machine is created, the name it is GC Lab 2, zone as US East 1B, and the machine type is E2 medium, and the internal IP, if you wanted to communicate in your network, if you wanted to communicate with any other machine remotely, you can use this external IP, and the status is in running state. Now I created this virtual machine. After this I can see the how many virtual machines are there. Just refresh this page. Number of virtual machines you can see, GC lab and GC lab 2. Two virtual machines I created. After this I can check my score. Here I will get, okay, yes, 50 out of 50, so 100 out of 100 I got. Okay, this is how I am going to create a virtual machine. And can you just guess what the answer for this question? Through which of the following ways you can create a VM instance? Yes, I use both the command line tool as well as cloud console. Both are correct answers, and submit it. Yes, I submitted. This is how to create a virtual machine. Best example for infrastructure as a service. Okay, you can see, you can wait for next video. Thank you.